So, what's the status on that shipment for the new Australian account?
Happy to report it has been delivered. It cleared customs last week.
Oh, that's fast. I thought it might have got delayed, especially with the holiday weekend.
So did I. They were giving me a hard time. But Renee knows a guy.
What guy?
Oh, you know, a friend of a friend. We made sure he enjoyed a very nice lunch and threw in some tickets to the Queens of the Stone Age concert in Sydney. Next thing you know, he expedited the shipment for us.
That's what you charged to the company credit card? And do you know how this looks?
Okay, this was a pretty clear-cut case. But sometimes, it can be a bit tricky to clearly label an action as bribery. To help you know what to look out for, you should know about several red flags that can point to possible bribery or corruption. For example, business dealings in a country known for high levels of corruption should put you on alert. Transparency International, a nonprofit organization that supports global anti-corruption efforts, maintains a corruption perception index, which rates over 180 countries and territories by their perceived levels of corruption based on expert assessments and opinion surveys. Doing business in countries with a low score on the index might mean a higher than average risk that bribery is a common and expected part of commercial interactions. Unusual financial arrangements, like excessive cash payments, can also present a red flag. Any transaction in which the parties demand atypical payment terms should be scrutinized to ensure there is no attempt to circumvent standard record-keeping procedures in order to conceal the payment of bribes. Other red flags can be context-specific. For these, companies often have set rules or policies that define what's acceptable and what's not. We can group these red flags into 3 main categories. The first category covers gifts and hospitality. Many companies consider the giving of gifts or the offering of hospitality, such as meals and entertainment, an expected part of doing business. But it can get complicated when doing business in other countries that have different cultural expectations, especially with respect to the value of such gifts. What's considered a bribe in one country may be viewed as a sign of respect in another. Your company's policy will cover what's acceptable and what's not, perhaps establishing a maximum permitted value for gifts and hospitality. But a general rule of thumb is that if the value of the gift is greater than nominal, it could be seen as an attempt to influence the receiver. A covert gift is a clear red flag. The same approach holds for hospitality. When the hospitality you're showing or being shown is reasonable and proportionate in the context, it's usually fine. Providing coffee, tea, or other refreshments for a client meeting is perfectly acceptable. But should the meeting move to a high-end restaurant featuring lavish menus and rare wine lists, that's a different story. Another red flag category concerns the concept of facilitation payments. These are small sums of money paid to government officials to expedite routine business activities. They're typically made to low-ranking officials to obtain permits, licenses, visas, or work orders, or to schedule inspections, get utilities set up, and so on. Some countries' bribery laws allow minor facilitation payments as long as they're accurately reported and don't induce the recipient to engage in improper actions. However, other countries' laws do not make this kind of exception. Accordingly, many organizations forbid facilitation payments altogether to ensure that there is no risk of violating any of the laws that may apply to a transaction. For this reason, it's imperative that you check your company's policy to understand its position on facilitation payments. The final category of red flags to be aware of is third-party relationships. Third parties could take the form of local agents, consultants, representatives, advisors, or any person acting on the company's behalf. Third parties are often employed because of their unique knowledge or experience in a local market. It's important to perform due diligence before engaging any third party to verify that they do not have a history of engaging in any form of corruption. This is critically important because, in the case of many laws, the corrupt actions of a third party are considered actions of the company that employs the third party. In other words, your company could face criminal liability for the bribery committed by a third party you hire, even if you did not direct the third party to break the law. Agreements with third parties should include specific language prohibiting any unlawful action on behalf of the company.